Just hope nobody calls me. Oh, hello. I forgotten I'm online. Okay, I'm adding Amy soon. Uh, Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here. So, Amy will join soon.
Hi.
Hi, Amy. Okay, great to have you here. And
Thank you.
how are you doing today?
I'm fine by God's grace. How are you doing?
Great. Okay, it looks like we have people online, so that's good.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I would like to thank you for accepting to share your experience with us on this topic about higher education in terms of and how it's influenced gender, race, and also with migration.
Thank you. Thank you actually for having me. I feel very privileged, yeah,
Okay.
to be here to share my experiences.
Yeah, I would like to also congratulate you on also completing your master's degree, right? Your
PhD.
PhD, sorry. Your PhD, yeah. Okay, so we'll go straight to the point and then we'll begin with. So it's the topic is about gender, race, and migration and building resilience through a higher education as an immigrant, as a woman, and as an African woman. It's a lot, right? It's a lot of
Yeah,
things, and I would say like,
definitely.
especially with the intersectionality, and also with our focus being on feminism and women's health and well-being. All these contribute to I believe all this contribute to improving your health and well-being. If you are not in the right state, how would you be able to concentrate to be able to move forward? If let's say the society you are living in is not supporting you, how would you be able to
Yeah.
improve? Yeah. So first I would like to know where I know you, but for the purpose of our audience, I would like to know where you migrated from and how long have you been staying in Canada for now?
So I immigrated from Canada. Sorry, I migrated from Ghana.
Yeah.
I was in the UK briefly for my master's, and then I came to Canada. So I've been in Canada for about 4 years,
Oh, wow.
approximately. Yeah,
Oh,
but I came from Ghana.
oh, great.
Yeah,
So, can you tell us a little about your education and what you studied, your thesis topic, like briefly about that, your education and in terms of what you did for your PhD and your masters and how you've come.
sure. Sure. Oh, hi to those watching us. A few of them are giving us a wave,
Yeah.
so thank you for watching. Um, I had my first degree in Ghana. I read molecular biology and biotechnology.
Okay.
It was a Bachelor of Science degree. And then afterwards, I had my master's in the United Kingdom, and I did an MSc in advanced food safety.
Oh, wow.
Um, and for that one, my project was basically looking at um, specific proteins from bacteria, from lactic acid bacteria. And then for my PhD, my thesis was a bit different, even though it was still food microbiology and food safety. And I worked with biofilms E. coli biofilms. So someone will say, E. coli, what is E. coli? This girl is
Yeah.
speaking big. So E. coli is just a bacteria that causes
Oh, great.
diseases.
I think,
So
yeah, we had
yeah.
E. coli health issues just last year, right?
Yeah, in lettuce.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I worked with E. coli and I looked at biofilm forming potentials, and then I also looked at antimicrobial resistance in E. coli in a One Health continuum. So again, antimicrobial resistance is just when a bacteria is very resistant, and then when someone is sick and you give the person some drugs, this person is not going to get better because of the bacteria being resistant. So that's the situation of antimicrobial resistance. But under normal circumstances, when you are sick and you go to the hospital and you are given a certain drug, if it's working, you should get better and the
Oh,
disease should go away. So
okay.
I'm
Thank you
just
so
trying
much
to simplify
on the brief knowledge
everything.
on E. coli and food safety. So I think I'll go straight to the point so that we don't spend a lot of time here. So,
Yeah.
leaving your country, that's Ghana, your family behind, and your friends, and moving to a new country, you even started from the US and then later on moved to Canada, can be a very bold decision. And I would want to know, what was the vision, like what was the dream you had in mind when like you decided to move
Hmm.
from Ghana to a new country you have no idea, like no knowledge about how are they going to receive you. You ask yourself a lot of questions. I think I would want to
Yeah.
know more about the vision behind that.
So, well, for me, the goal was to get to that level of excellence, no matter what it was going to take. And I know people have personally told me, you are really bold for leaving your country, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
They were like, are you here with your family? Did you come alone or what? And I'll be like, I came alone, yeah. So for me, moving to the UK, leaving my family and friends, going to an unfamiliar place, uncharted place, I don't know anybody there. And it's like you have to start life afresh. You have to try and build
Yeah.
life again. It was a daunting decision, but then I also appreciated the fact that we have different educational systems, even from what we have back home in Ghana and what we have in the UK versus Canada. There's still some differences over there. So the experiences and the exposure and the opportunities that would be available if I moved was definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to pursue higher education outside, because some of them would not be, available if I was still back home. So for me, the vision was get the best and get it at the best place possible. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So
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 that was
so
that was
can
the
you
main
say,
vision.
moving to a different country and coming here, you are seen as, you are labeled as an immigrant woman, right? Or an African woman, or
Yeah.
some would say a black woman. Do you think being an immigrant woman with all these labels, it's kind of sometimes frustrating myself and say, oh, you are being referred to as an immigrant, and some people refugee, or let's say black woman, African woman, and like the notion or the idea behind it may not really sound good. Did you think it have any effect on your studies, like you being in school or like you seeking a higher education, doing your PhD? Did you think it had any effect on you or like caused any problems for you?
For me, I would say not really. Even though, I mean, there are times that you go to a place and you see that you are alone, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are. alone, that is when the difference actually gets to me, because you are a minority kind of like, and sometimes there's specific opportunities or the way you would like to, just fit in or blend might not really work out just because you stand out so much through no fault of yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely, it's pretty obvious, especially when you attend a conference and there's like two black people or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and there's
understand
just
you.
like a few people, and you can actually count yourselves and all that. Then that's a little bit unsettling. But I think all in all, it hasn't been a very bad experience. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think I've also had some experience where I went to a conference and I went to with my supervisor though, so I was like only the black person there, and then unfortunately I was late, so I had to, something happened and then they had to mention my name and everyone was turning later on, people asking me, okay, so how did you come? And people asking you a lot of questions, and I think my first day in class was really awful when one of my colleagues was like, okay, how come you're speaking, your English is so good? Oh, you must have been in the best school back in your country, and that can be
Yeah.
very intimidating and all that. Did you any experience anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. I've had instances where people have told me your English is really good. You speak really good English and you write really good English. And I'm like, duh, in my head. I'm like, but we use English in, my country is the official language. So obviously I'm supposed to, you know, express myself well in English. But I guess it's just an idea of mentality. It's just, the whole notion of um, people not knowing that um, we have a certain standard. At least when you go to school, you use English as the medium of communication and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll just move forward. So in your pursuit in higher education, I know you are very serious about your studies. Did you experience any limitation that you think was related to you being a woman, or your gender, or maybe your skin color? Did you experience any obstacles or limitations?
Yeah, there were very few instances where I thought that if if I wasn't, who I am, I would have been treated differently. And I was pretty new to Canada at that time anyway, so I didn't really, really know the workings and what I'm supposed to do, or who I'm supposed to speak to, or how to handle some of these situations. So I wouldn't go into too much details as to exactly what the situation was, but definitely there was a specific day that this thing got to me so much so that I basically cried in my office. I was like, oh God, what is going on? But then because I was new and I didn't really know who to talk to and all that,
So can
it's
you can
it's
you share
really
that
funny.
experience with us? Like what really happened? Maybe I don't really know what is, if it's okay to share maybe a little bit
Um,
about it so people would know.
because of a little bit of confidentiality, I wouldn't like to share
Oh, okay.
that, like give the exact details. But then I thought I was being treated very, very unfairly, very unfairly, and I was the only black um, at that place. I mean, there were many students over there as well, but then they were not being subjected to my kind of,
Yes,
treatment.
treatment.
So I kind of thought it was just because of where I'm coming from, or who I am, or perhaps they think that I don't have enough training or qualification. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes people tend to question your intelligence. I don't know if it's just an unconscious thing they do or it's intentional, but sometimes people actually question your intelligence based on your, your skin color. It will be like, you're not really, but then I think we have to, it's a prejudice that we have to kind of, restructure our mind to give people the opportunity. And then when they are not able to perform, we can say, okay, this. But once they've not had the opportunity, then we shouldn't just, limit them or give them a different treatment just because of where they are coming from.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
really
mean?
understand what you're talking about. And even the statistics is showing that we have a lot of immigrant women who have higher education, master's degree, PhD, some are professors and all that. Not, yeah, but there's so much gap. There's a wider gap in terms of the employment that they get, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you have someone doing a master's degree, but the job the person is in doesn't fit because they believe you do not like. Why should you have? So I don't want to be more like open. I was volunteering at one place, and then people didn't know like much about me, right? And so they thought maybe I'm in high school, or like, yeah, that's how they saw me. They thought I was in high school, and then maybe I just want to while away some time during the summer, and that's why I was volunteering. And so later on, my supervisor came around and was like, I don't know, something happened, and then they realized that I was a master's student. So you had to write something about yourself, right? And they realized that, oh yeah, I'm a master's student. And then at that moment, their attitude towards me changed. They realized that, oh, with all this, so someone asked me, so why are you doing volunteering? Why are you here? You shouldn't be here if you have all that. Like, you should be working, you should be one of the employees. But why are you volunteering? Like, I didn't comment, I just shook my head and then I went away. So I believe that like immigrant women and even men are experiencing this a lot, especially because of
Mm-hmm.
your maybe gender or your skin color. So people do not regard you or believe, oh, you don't need to be in such a higher position or like need that recognition or anything. Yeah. So I am I think in recent times there has been an incredible progress with women seeking higher education despite the obstacles they face, especially with maybe family telling you, oh, you don't need to do PhD, you can go and marry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to do a PhD, you can just when you marry, you don't need it, right? Or what are you
Exactly.
going to use this for? Like, people ask so many questions. Like, you just have to forget about it and just relax. People putting you down. So what motivated you to push forward? Like, what was the driving force? What kept you like going? What motivated you or encouraged you to keep going forward?
So, like I mentioned before, I wanted the best. Like I wanted to get to the top. That's the thing. Um, I I just had that desire. It was deeply rooted that I have to get to the top, no matter what. So getting there, like the end goal, getting there was my focus. Of course, getting just the PhD degree is not the end, but it's actually a means to an end. But getting that, as in having the highest academic, qualification, was something that was really deeply rooted, and I was going to get it at all costs, regardless of the the discouragement or what people say, regardless of if someone is going to ask me when I get married or blah 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 and all that, because um I just wanted to get there. And I also believe that if I had those, exposure and those qualifications, it was definitely going to improve my life or change my life in a certain way that if I don't have those, then I'm not going to, get access to those open doors. And I had one supervisor back at UCC, that's the University of Cape Coast, Ghana, who said that this lady, I think she will get her PhD, like she'll be one of the youngest, PhD holders. And I hadn't, spoken to him or like told him my plans or anything, kind of, even though we talked and all that. So he told my mom, and I was like, well, I had it at the back of my mind that I was going to do this anyways. So regardless of the challenges, I just had to keep going, because right now the world is changing, right? It's not as it used to be, and things are changing, even though it may be changing slowly, or it's not changing as fast as we want, and people's mentalities and ideas, ideologies haven't changed much, and it's still taking some time. But then at a point in time, you need some kind of education. I don't mean to say if you don't have formal education, then, because people are still making it without formal education. But our lives are different. And then if you know that this is what you are meant for, or this is what is meant for you, you just go after it. And that was, for me, that was the main thing. I knew where I was going. I knew what I was supposed to get, and I just went for it, regardless of the challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. It's good to know. Did you get any, was there any encouragement or support during those times in your studies?
Oh, yes. Yes, numerous. My family was really supportive. I had friends who were very supportive, because honestly, like you said, leaving your family behind and going to a place that you don't know anyone and starting life afresh can be very daunting. And, coupled with the fact that you have to adjust to life as a student as well.
Yeah.
So there were times that I just felt tired. you know, I just felt tired, and I sometimes speak with my family and they'll be like, "Oh, come on, you got this. You can do this." There were friends who would pray with me. Sometimes it's not like they can really do much to help you, because they don't know even
What you're going to,
what
exactly going
you
to.
are going through, what you are doing. But then the fact that they can lend a listening ear to you, um they can speak some words of encouragement to you, that's definitely made a lot of difference, so that by the time you are done talking with them, you are okay, like you have reset, and you can, your mind can take up new information and new things like that. So yeah, there were definitely people who were very supportive through
Okay,
the
great.
process.
Okay, so I'll move on to the next question that I have. So, as an immigrant woman, so today I'm referring to you as an immigrant woman. I hope that's okay with you. What are your thoughts on like race, culture, and then the learning environment in Canada? So you realize that
Um,
back home is different from here, right? And then maybe there may be some things that are not the same. So, and then you being in an educational institution, you may experience some differences. Like you may realize there are things that are not related to your values or your culture, or maybe even your race.
Yeah, so there were 3 points: race, culture, and then what was the last thing you
The
mentioned again?
learning environment in Canada.
Learning. Okay, so in terms of race, like I mentioned before, there's quite diverse, and as an immigrant, obviously, we are or I am part of the minority. So it comes with certain
No, I won't say
challenges
you're
and
part of the minority. We've been labeled as minority.
as a minority.
Yeah, that
Yeah. So, for example, there could be specific facilities that you need or that I needed to, access to, conduct my research and all that. And some of these can be very high security, so they have to check your background and do some of these clearance and all. It can be very prolonged if you are an immigrant, because and for someone who like me who have been around the world, like they will have to go back to all those countries and do some of these checks and all that, and it can delay your process.
your
With postgraduate studies, sometimes you have a timeline. You're like, after this time, especially those in the sciences, I am conducting this experiment. I have to be done by this time. I have to do that. Like, you are on a time crunch. So when you've planned your project and, you didn't give allowance for some of these roadblocks and all, then it becomes an issue, because you can't they have to be sure of who they are also admitting into the facility, and the process cannot be rushed, and it can actually be longer if you are not you are an immigrant as compared to if you were a native. In terms of culture too, even the minority, our culture is really diverse in terms of the way we talk, the way we speak, even what we eat. So it can be very different. And sometimes, even though there are a lot of women now pursuing higher education, finding someone from your area of specialization who is also a minority like you to actually speak to can be difficult, because generally you can find someone in specific areas, but you might not find someone in your area, and
yeah.
you might not have someone to talk to when you want to, you are facing certain difficulties or challenges or that kind of a thing. In terms of learning, I will have to say that I had to unlearn and relearn and relearn, because the systems are completely different. I mean, very different. In Ghana, we have what we call the babedie. Those of us who are familiar with the babedie, you can commit things to your memory, and then you write your exams and you pass, and you are gone. But when I went to the UK, my first experience was a shock to me. My first assignment, for example, I got the results and I'm like, no, hey, what is going on over here? Is this really
I
me?
can relate. I can relate to your
I
experience.
was like, is this really me? This can't be me. How did I get this marks? And it was just because the systems were so different. So I literally had to unlearn and then relearn so that I can be able to excel in the system, because the system will not allow you to just copy notes and commit it to memory, come and write the exams, whatever you've memorized, and go. It's not gonna work. You are not going to succeed with that formula. The system is in such a way that you need to be able to think critically. You need to be able to synthesize information and be able to apply it to a different situation, even when you've not been asked, directly,
Yeah.
a topic or a question related to what you've been taught. So, yeah, my first assignment was a shocker. And then I had to unlearn, how to learn in those instances. And obviously, I think it is the best environment to learn, because it makes you think outside of the box, and you need to do more research, more like you just can't come and sit down and write it and then you succeed based on that one. So the systems are different. And in Canada too is the same. And there are instances where even some of the courses that I took, there were marks allocated for asking questions or answering questions in class. I was like, hey, if I don't ask questions, if I don't talk, then it means this semester will pass and I will lose this particular marks.
Yeah.
I was very surprised that they allocated marks for talking in class, and some of us, we are shy. We are in a new environment and we are shy. I was like, hey, people are talking, people are asking questions, and when they ask, then before you ask your question or you answer, you have to mention your name. So I could see the professor writing down names. I'm like, if I don't try to adapt to this situation, then the semester will end and I won't get any marks for
Yeah,
talking in class or
exactly.
asking questions. So these are some of the main differences, and definitely it was
An
a
eye
good
opener.
experience. Yeah, it was an eye opener. But yeah, I definitely had to unlearn some of the things that I knew or how I used to learn before, and then relearn. And it's been an interesting and rewarding journey. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say all these experiences, despite the difficulty, the challenges, has empowered you to keep going and like, do you think the environment push you to succeed? Like the environment you find yourself in?
Yes, definitely. I would definitely say so. Some of these experiences have placed me at a pedestal where I wouldn't have been before. Someone say, "Do you think formal education is important? Has it done anything to you?" Oh yes, it has done a lot. Actually, it has definitely changed a lot of things. It it changes your perspective, okay, the way you look at things and the way you address things and you go about things. And apart from that, it opens doors that you wouldn't be able to enter if you didn't have those
Relaxed or giving up? Yeah.
exposures. Yeah. So and for me, for example, I've met people that I wouldn't have met if I didn't, go through the higher education process. I've attended conferences and, done work with people in authority and, rubbed shoulders with certain people that under normal circumstances you wouldn't get that opportunity. So definitely there is an empowerment aspect of, higher education for me as a woman that I think is really worth it.
Oh, okay.
So
So
yeah,
you think even as a woman, it has like empowered you with all that you have achieved and what you've done?
certainly, certainly, it definitely has. Like I said, sometimes your area of specialization, for example, there are not a lot of women over there, but once you get there, you are able to, establish a niche for yourself. You are able to, collaborate with different people and all that. Um, do specific things that you couldn't do before if you didn't have that kind of exposure or training or education. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
we are.
And I will say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, no, I was just saying if you have any question for Emilia, you can drop it down and
Um,
I'll be reading through as we are getting to the end. This was just a short conversation and we are not going to take too long. So if you have any questions for Emilia or myself, or you want to know more about the Feminist Health blog, you can just drop your question or you can DM us on send us a personal message and we are going to respond to you. Yeah, so Emilia, you can continue.
yeah, for the empowerment bit too, I would say that um it has definitely empowered me because in a way I'm self-sufficient or independent. Of course, I have God on my side, but I'm talking about um being an independent person who is also able to help other people and all that kind of stuff in different ways. So yeah, higher education has definitely than that,
Mm-hmm.
well, helping me to be self-sufficient or independent.
That's great to know. So we're about ending. I think I have the last question. So what are your final thoughts about your experience or the experience of other women that you would like to pass along to the audience? What do you think you would, anything you want to say to people out there, women out there who are looking forward to pursuing higher education? Oh, okay. So someone was
So
asking, what would be your advice for a young girl going to study abroad, like in a different cultural context?
okay, so which of the questions should I
Okay, so
answer
we've
first?
answered Aligra's question is saying, what would be your advice for a young girl going to study abroad, like in a different cultural context?
Um, I would say go for it. You just have to know what it is exactly, what it is you are going to study, how that is going to help you in your future pursuits in terms of jobs and all that. Um, in terms of culture, different countries have very different cultures. Some of them may be a little similar to where we are coming from. Others there could be a very big, difference. So definitely you have to adapt, even in terms of dressing. Like I mentioned before, there are some clothes that you can wear all year round in Canada, in Ghana, that you cannot wear here in Canada. It's all part of the culture and how you live and you survive. So yes, if there is the opportunity to study abroad, um, definitely go for it and make sure that you excel. That is the main, like that's a priority. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a priority. So once you've been able to achieve that, everything else, follows and falls in place. And in terms of culture, spread your wings. Definitely connect with people who, even if they are not in your area and they've been in that environment before, and they can give you some, pointers here and there, definitely connect with them, but also connect with the people in the environment that you are going to study. That will make life in general and your ability to adapt very easy, and it will help your quick progress and adaptation. Yeah.
You're great. I think you're just a role model to young ladies coming up and even to me. And so if you are given opportunity to mentor someone, are you going to take that opportunity, like to mentor someone who wants to move higher?
Yeah.
But like you said, you didn't get the opportunity to like have someone, or someone, there was no woman or someone in your area, like in within your, like an African, or in your, as a woman, to guide you or direct you in when you were facing all those difficulty, or when you needed someone to talk to. So are you going to be like a mentor, or a role model, or be there for someone when they need you, like a young lady who is coming up but need advice? Are you going to offer such a service?
Definitely, definitely. I am definitely willing to do that. As far as I know what the question or what the challenges are, I am definitely able to, answer those questions or help in any way that I can be able to do that. So in my final year, actually, I was part of the ag mentorship. I think it's a Western Canada thingy for women in agriculture,
Okay.
basically, like anything related to, food stuff. So yeah, um, I definitely have a few engagements here and there for mentoring people who want to, or ladies who want to pursue higher education, or some of them are not really higher education, but who want to just strive further up the academic ladder. So I am definitely open to that as well. People can contact me. I think they can DM me if they have
Yeah.
any specific questions, and I'll be willing to help as well. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And I think you had a question which I didn't answer,
Oh yeah,
which was talking about.
yeah, your final thoughts on like your experience and like your last words, right? On your experience and the experience of
Oh,
other
okay.
women that you would like to pass along. What would you advise a young lady coming up to
So,
do? Yeah,
so I would say that you should ask and you should speak. That is something that I have come to, I understand. Don't keep it all bottled up. If you are going through something, don't bear it alone. If you don't want to talk to the people around, if you go to the university campuses, there are various offices, counseling offices, and all. Sometimes, they might even take the matter up themselves to, help you to deal with the situation. So if you are facing a situation where you think you are being intimidated because of your color, or you think um, this person is trying to do something shady over here. Normally when they are doing things like that, it's not really clear, but there's always a chain of order. There's always a hierarchy of order. Please speak to the person above whoever is the culprit. And that is going to, help. If you, like I said, if you think the situation is, you suspect that this is because I am, black or
yeah,
that, don't keep quiet. You have to speak it out. You have to speak to the issue, because that is something that, I have noticed. The moment you start talking, whoever is involved will know that, nah, this person is not as clueless as I thought she is. And then they will begin to rethink, what they are
doing.
actually doing. Yeah. And they wouldn't like to get into trouble, obviously. So, but while you are quiet and, you are, not saying
Shying away.
anything, then, yeah, like, it keeps going on and on and on and on. So you need to speak to the situation, especially if it has to do with discrimination based on your gender or your race. It doesn't matter. Um, I think there's been an instance where one PI was, got into trouble because something like this was going on, and the student felt, I'm just tired, and the student decided to, report to someone above. So it's and the situation was dealt with and all that. So it's very important that when you are facing an issue that is affecting you emotionally, psychologically, and you think it has to do with your race and all that, you have to speak. You have to speak up about it. That's something I will definitely say. If you don't speak up about it, then
It
it's
was
gonna be a
keep
problem.
going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate your time here and sharing those powerful experience with us. And I would say even with what you said about speaking up and just seeking assistance or opening up about a situation is really important, because most of the time when you come here in the early years or early months or weeks,
yeah,
you have people
yeah.
trying to bully you, people trying to bring you down,
Exactly.
and I've had my
You
share
are so
experience
afraid.
with that, so I really understand what you're
Mm,
talking about. And I think if, let's say, I had spoken up about it, or let's say go to a counseling session or seek assistance from someone, it it would have helped me a lot in terms of what I should do next time, and also advise someone who also needed such help.
mhm,
So I think it's very
mhm.
powerful, and We really appreciate sharing your experience with us and for getting us more informed about being a woman and an immigrant seeking higher education. So thank you so much, Amy. If you have anything to say before we leave.
Oh, well, I guess I've already said a lot. I
Yeah.
don't know if the audience have specific
Questions.
questions, but all I'll say is that whatever we see people doing, or whatever you see the person that you are looking up to doing, that you think is so big and it's bigger than you and you cannot do it, you have to change your mindset. You can do it. You can do it. There's nothing to above doing. There's nothing,
Possible.
excuse me to use the word. Yeah, there's nothing impossible. Yes, that's the word. You can basically excel anywhere. It doesn't matter whether you don't even have any knowledge or background. For example, some of the projects that I did and some of the things that I had to learn during my PhD journey, I had no knowledge of them before. But you have to learn, and you have to be open-minded about learning, and you have to have a teachable spirit. That way you can be able to, do anything that you
You set
set
your
your
mind to.
mind or your heart
Yeah.
to do. Yeah. So you have an open mind, that if I'm setting myself to do this, I can do it, even if I don't have, the background or the experiences or the skill. And you have to work towards learning. Make sure you are learning and on learning every day, because every day brings something new, something different that you can definitely pick up along the way, and it will help you subsequently. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. In terms of higher education, I know not all of us are going to, be formally educated and all, but pursue knowledge,
Wherever you
pursue
find
knowledge,
yourself.
knowledge. Yeah, whatever it is that you are doing, pursue knowledge and try to be the best that you can, and then people will come after you for that. Yeah, so those are my final words.
Okay.
If the audience do not have any questions, I guess.
Yeah, I think no one has dropped any question yet, so I think everyone is good. And if you have any question, you can send us a message, and we will pass it on to Amy as well. And you can follow us on our Instagram page and also our website, thefeministhealth.org. And if you have any article, any blog, any video, anything that you want to share, our page is open to anyone. It's not only for me or my partner. Informa is for everyone to share their ideas, their experience, or maybe research. We will just post it on our website and just advertise it, because we are there to help everyone. And our people will be wondering, what is the feminist health blog about? Okay, it's an initiative that we are looking at improving the health and well-being of young girls and women in terms of advocacy, research, and education. So in all those areas, we are like, that's what we seek to do. We are not up. So people are asking me, okay, the feminist, that means you are attacking men. So feminism is not about attacking men. If you care to know, it's not about attacking men, but it's just seeking the rights and the well-being of women who are suffering and women who are going through a lot, right? So we are not there
Mm-hmm.
to attack women. If you if you are wondering why we chose feminism, feminism is about advocacy for the well-being of women. Okay, so thanks so much for staying with us in
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Amy, for
Yeah.
the contribution. And then maybe I'll also come back again, and we will talk about food and how it's it's
Oh
good to eat
yeah.
and
Food and food hygiene and
yeah,
food safety and all that.
yeah,
Thank you very much for having me, and yeah, more power to your elbows and for the founders of, the Feminist Health Blog. And I hope that, you will grow. The things that you are doing will
amen.
grow. And yeah, more people will be reached with the help and assistance and the information especially that you are giving out through the work that you are doing. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the end. Bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Okay.